I'm Chimo Mangazi with Business Time on Times. It is a magazine program where we bring you business and economic news stories making headlines. In the program today, mixed reactions to assertions that the local economy could rebound significantly following projections of a bumper yield next year. Also in the program, tobacco authorities expect a 10% surge in demand in the 2021-2022 season. We have these and other stories. Stay tuned. Hello and welcome. Experts have expressed mixed reactions to assertions that the local economy could rebound significantly following projections of a bumper maize yield in the next harvesting season. An analysis by the FEMA Early Warning Systems Network indicates that Malawi is forecast to receive average to above average rainfall during the 2021-2022 season, which would facilitate a normal agricultural production season. But experts cast doubt, as Feston Malekezo reports from Zuzu.
Given the current rainfall forecast and expectations for access to subsidized inputs for poorer households, above average 2021-2022 production of maize and other staples is expected, the third consecutive year of above average production. As a result, food and income access for own crops and crop sales in the 2022 marketing year, thus April to June, is expected to also be above average. Further, the report expects that the production of tobacco and cotton would likely increase in 2022 from the current levels based on trends, anticipated market demand, and favorable 2021 marketing season. But food security expert Leonard Chimwaza has said while anticipating a good harvest, government officials should also expect eventualities that would affect the production outlook. He says floods and pest infestation are some of the factors that would negatively affect production projections. Chimwaza says the first thing the government needs to do is to revamp the Department of Disaster Management Affairs with material and financial resources. Chimwaza further suggests that farmers embrace crop diversification.
Likely, we might have some patches of drought. Now it is high time that for us as a country to realize bumper yields in almost all the sectors of the agricultural commodities that we produce as a country. It is now time to demarcate the ecological zones in Malawi. We know for sure that in Malawi there are other areas that do not give good yields, most especially on cereals, for example maize, for example the Shire Valley belt. It is now high time that we promote other crops, so that irrespective of the fact that in Shire Valley belt most of the farmers face occurrences of droughts, but still they can plant roots and tubers as an alternative crop to maize, so that they can still harvest. Besides that, we can also promote horticulture crops. We have other areas that have good potential in as far as production of horticulture crops is concerned.
Another agriculture expert, Charles Goffard, observes that it would be premature to talk about bumper harvest before the crop is planted. Commenting on the same, Tamani Nkonovula, another agriculture expert, says slow pace in AIP implementation is worrying.
If you look at how the subsidy is going, I'm not seeing it to being successful this year, because by this time the reports are saying that only about 5% have had access to the inputs, which means that by the end of this month, if we continue at this trend, I don't think we would have reached maybe 20% or so. So on that basis, I don't think we may, or the predictions of this report may be fulfilled. As for the rainfall, I cannot say much on that. We are yet to see how the rainfall is going to behave this year. But all I can say is that the assumptions of this report are based on very, very shaky, or the prediction of this report is based on a very, very shaky assumptions.
Meanwhile, Minister of Agriculture spokesperson Grishan Lungu has said the report is exciting, adding that they would make sure the AIP implementation is expedited.
What we are trying to do is to work out on expediting the smooth implementation of AIP, that the farmers should at least use the hybrid seeds so that we can maximize the production of maize. At the same time, also, we are working out on making sure that the farmers get the appropriate knowledge on integrated pest management system, which helps in mitigating the issues of some pests and diseases that affect the production of maize.
Since 2016, Malawi has been affected by pests such as fall armyworms, which negatively affected maize production. According to the Ministry of Agriculture food balance sheet or carryover overstock, for 2021-2022 consumption season, Malawi will have about 1.3 million metric tons of maize surplus.
Tobacco authorities have indicated that they expect a 10% surge in demand in the 2021-2022 season. This, they say, is an indication that the industry is not dying. Stakeholders in the industry have reiterated that supply chain due diligence on environment, human rights and governance is the only way to sustain and grow the sector. Joseph Chidanti Malunga is Tobacco Control Commission Chief Executive Officer.
Well, I think the negative publicity, yes, but I think it is also largely because of lack of information, and the lack of information comes because people think tobacco industry is on the left side, and they don't want to get the information. For example, I have worked for tobacco industry for probably 9 months now. I have never seen any serious person coming into the commission looking for information. For 9 months, I have never seen any. But yet every day you have stories of tobacco written, whether on the internet and whatsoever. So you wonder, where do they get the information? So I believe that it is just some perception that has been created, and therefore everyone, when you talk about tobacco, everyone will just give the shivers. So that is where negativity is coming from. It is coming from the point where people do not have information because they are not looking for information. So that's what the tobacco industry is. But otherwise, the truth of the matter is that the tobacco industry will remain. I would even say it will remain forever. I know people are talking about anti-smoking and all that. Anti-smoking, it is an issue really. It is a big issue in the tobacco industry, affecting our industry. But I do not believe in any way that it will stop the tobacco industry. It will not. And forever, I think, it will not stop the tobacco industry. So the things that we really get worried with are the things that our customers want. You know that almost all the tobacco that we produce is not used in Malawi. It is used in America and largely in Europe and elsewhere. So that means that the people that buy our tobacco, they have their own rules or restrictions or guidelines that they have to follow.
And this is what Japan Tobacco International Leaf Malawi Corporate Affairs and Communications Director Limban Kakome had to say.
Well, I mean, as we have said several times before, the future is in a shrinking market, but it's not an abrupt shrink. It's a gradual shrink. We've seen this for the past 15, 20 years. And but as you see, as shrinking is happening, let's say drops in cigarettes consumption in some parts of the world, you see other parts of the world are also picking up. From a leaf perspective, for us in Malawi, our profile for the next couple of years looks steady. As a country, what we need to be looking at is to say, how do we still stay competitive, steady volumes in a market that is shrinking? That is what I would say we should be looking at, to say in the next 10, 30 years, we as a country should maintain our pole position as a lead berry producer. Okay, well, it's not something that has just come up now. You recall for many years there's been the issue of child labor. These are some of the social impacts of a supply chain like tobacco. But it's extending beyond just tobacco. We are also looking at to see that the regulations that are coming through are looking at all supply chains. So if you're in groundnuts, or if you're in soya, or if you're in tea, or in sugar, your export destinations are saying, can you account for the impacts of your business? Can you account what your business is doing to the environment, what your business is doing to human rights, what your business is doing to the overall governance structures of your places? Are you encouraging things like corruption, etc.? So the progression of it has been, in the past 15 years or so, these were more like voluntary guidelines. And a lot of companies embrace them. Like in the environment, people would say they would embrace them, but there'll be accusations, no, they're just greenwashing, etc. Now, what has happened is that some countries like the US, in Europe, etc., they're making this into legislation. The UK put up the Modern Slavery Act, the Anti-Bribery Act, that binds companies that are, let's say, registered in that country but operating overseas to subscribe to those regulations. Now, this progression is increasing. We're seeing that the requirements for accountability on businesses are increasing, and they are in the mandatory space. You cannot just do it because you like doing it. You have to do it. Well, I wouldn't say we should be afraid, but we should be ahead of the game. And we should not just specify it to tobacco. We should look across all our agricultural exports. We should play the lead in terms of saying, okay, what does our customer look for? How is our supply chain currently? Do the studies, do the understanding, and then put up response plans. If people are impacted on your supply chain, you need to do a rights perspective in terms of how you as a business conduct yourself out there. And then be able to have the documentation, the processes that show that you're doing something about it and there's progression in the right direction. Then I think there's no need to be scared, but we need to be ahead of the game.
How are we doing as compared to our peers in the region?
Well, Malawi, I should say we have got good legal frameworks. We've got good structures in place. The tobacco industry in Malawi is quite a refined structure. The tea industry is quite a refined structure. The sugar is quite strong. I think where there's need to start looking at is how do we make these emerging value chains, the export diversification, the value chains like in macadamia, the value chains like in sugar, in cotton and then beans and all the legumes, even maize. How do we put them into a structured market that can meet standards that, say, the tobacco industry and the tea industry are already implementing? Now, regionally, because we've got strong value chains in these four traditional sectors like cotton, tea, sugar, and tobacco, I think we have a good stand. But what we need to emphasize on as a country with all our good legislations and policies is the implementation.
This is Business Time on Times. We'll be right back after the break. The Malawi Confederation of Chambers of Commerce and Industry, MCCCI, and players in the agro-processing sector have reiterated the need to enhance value addition in a quest to reduce importation of agriculture products. This came out at the end of a 3-day agriculture fair in Blantyre, where players in the agriculture sector showcased their products. Justin Nkwe was there and now reports.
Most of the exhibitors at the fair showcased value-added products such as soya pieces, roasted and packaged groundnuts, rice, coffee, and other products of international standards. According to MCCCI President James Chimwaza, value addition means that the products will start competing with the imported products on the local market and give local products an added advantage. Chimwaza added that apart from effectively competing with imported products, the products will help in foreign exchange generation. He added that there are products such as Colombero rice, which if Malawi can increase production and add value, including making other products from it, the country will be talking of a different story, especially if it is done by Malawian cooperatives.
That is very important because as we add value and we get more and more efficient, it means our products will actually be on demand outside. So our products will begin to generate forex from outside. And there's a product that is unique to Malawi, like Kilombero, and it's a wonderful product. If we increase production of that and then add value to it, apart from just having it ready to be consumed, even end up with Kilombero Rice Krispies, for example, then we will really be talking of a different game and a different industry, especially if it's done by Malawian cooperatives going into manufacturing of that nature.
MCCCI lists electricity, high taxes and corruption among Malawi's top hindrances to the manufacturing sector, which aids value addition. Among the exhibitors who showcased value-added products are National Smallholder Farmers Association of Malawi, NASFAM, Usingini Coffee, and Paramount Commodities, who brought soya pieces and cooking oil, among others. According to the exhibitors, the cost of not adding value is that Malawi consumes products whose raw materials have been bought from the country at a cheaper price, then sold in Malawi at a higher price as finished goods. They added that they have taken the challenge not to sell raw materials unless it is very necessary. The exhibitors, who spoke to Times, added that apart from being the right path to import substitution, value addition is also a source of employment. Here's what some of them said.
You will notice that most often we complain as a country that we sell raw materials that they go to other countries, and then they came back as improved products at a higher cost. So as NASFAM, we're taking the challenge that we don't have to sell raw materials unless it's really necessary. So that meant investing in equipment, investing in facilities that would enable us to add value to most of the products that we encourage our farmers to produce, or the value chains that we deal in. So we have our premium product, which is Kilombero rice. It's produced in Karonga, where we have thousands of farmers that make sure that they have the right seeds, that helps us to get the necessary quality that we desire and that which the customer wants on the market. And then when you provide them with that seed, they produce using the necessary technologies, and at the moment we are promoting system of rice certification. So that with that process, it enables the farmers get more from their yield, get more yield from the limited inputs that they may have, including the seed. At the same time, also it helps reduce, rather protect the crop, make it from the climate change that we are complaining about. You notice that the broadcasting method of production demands a lot of water, while the SRI, system of rice certification, needs little water, and it enables the crop even to produce more. Recently, I've had farmers who are testifying that they used to spend maybe 40 kgs of seed, but now they only need 5 kgs using that system. So those are some of the things that we are able to showcase, but the yield that they get is even more than what they could get from the 40 kg of seed that they would use then.
It is very important because it gives our farmers, it gives promotion to our farmers.
The Ministry of Industry spokesperson Yamikani Zakumanja said they have put initiatives to support value addition, including establishing a value addition department which targets SMEs. He added that they are also working with manufacturing companies which are given a number of incentives, including industrial rebate and export processing zone, which encourage value addition. Malawi is a heavily importing and consuming nation, highly dependent on importing raw agricultural products, with tobacco being the main export earner.
In a quest to maximize on exports, a number of Malawian businesses are participating in the Inter-African Trade Fair taking place in Durban, South Africa. But how is the exhibition going? A question our reporter Justin Kweu put to some of the participants at the fair, and she now reports.
According to Minister of Trade, Sosten Gwengwe, the deals are for the supply of various commodities to regional markets within the African Continental Free Trade Area, such as Angola, Botswana, South Africa, South Sudan, and Côte d'Ivoire. Gwengwe added that the deals are of commodities such as maize, beans, and rice, and the supply deal of the commodities to South Sudan has been raised from the previous $127 million to a total of $295 million. Malawi now has a deal with Angola worth $50 million, Botswana worth $40 million, South Africa worth $20 million, and a deal for the supply of rice, and the country has also received a serious inquiry to supply 60,000 tons of rice and other grains in Côte d'Ivoire worth approximately $59 million. Local SMEs participating at the fair have also managed to record inquiries worth $4 million, and Arab Bank for Economic Development in Africa have signed a trade finance with Reserve Bank of Malawi worth $50 million to facilitate the deals. Some of 30 Malawian companies participating at the fair have since described the event as an opportunity for growth. The exhibitors said they have already had several inquiries on their products and interests for people to invest in Malawi's different sectors. One of the exhibitors, Amaryllis Hotels Sales and Marketing Manager, Kyra Suti, said when they were presented with the opportunity, they knew they needed to use it to showcase the hotel to potential international guests. She added that as of day 2 of the event, they had already met a lot of people who have made several inquiries and have shown interest to visit the country. Suti further said there is a lot of interest in the hotel and in Malawi as well, because they have seen that there is a lot of interest in investing in Malawi, the tourism sector, and especially in the hotel. Another exhibitor is the National Smallholder Farmers Association of Malawi, NASFAM, and the association's chief executive officer agrees with Suti.
So the fact that we're there, the fact that our products are attracting a lot of attention also shows that we are competing. But what is more important is for us to be able to build volumes that can meet, that are able to meet the demand that is out there. So at the moment already, like just for the rice, we have inquiries from as far as Ghana, a lot of inquiries from South Africa. So when you add all that, you find that perhaps the supply that we have is not adequate to match up the demand. So there's a lot of work still that we need to do to ensure that the volume that we're producing is adequate to cover the kind of demand that is out there. Some of them are big processors themselves. So they're looking at volumes that perhaps equal to the volumes that we supply on the local market. So there's need for us to grow so that we are able to just match that. But like you said, it is really pleasing that in terms of the quality, not much more we have to do. The quality is already in line with the standards that are required.
The IATF 2021 is targeting trade and investment deals of more than $40 million. The fair has attracted more than 4,000 delegates, 1,000 exhibitors, including over 1,000 buyers from over 55 countries. The 2021 Intra-African Trade Fair is being hosted by the African Export-Import Bank, Afreximbank, in collaboration with the African Union Commission, AUC, and the Government of Republic of South Africa. It was opened on Monday, 15th November, and it is expected to end on Sunday, the 21st of November, 2021.
Well, with that item, we've come to the end of today's edition of Business Time here on Times. It is a magazine program where we bring you major business and economic news stories making headlines in the country. On behalf of the entire production team, I'm Chimomo Mangazi. But always remember, if it doesn't make money, it doesn't make sense. Bye for now.